Good morning. I'm Dr. Sandy Flack, and I am the Deputy Director for the Office of Special Services and Inclusive Education for the state of Maine. And that also includes the Early Childhood Special Education or 619 Director role. Yeah, so I was drawn to attending the Inclusion Institute because I heard from other early childhood special education directors around the country about what a wonderful conference it is, and that it was worthwhile to attend and connect with other 619 directors from around the country, but also the sessions were directly related to our roles at the state level. Oh, this is kind of a loaded question. So inclusion has been a central theme in my life. And I've done a lot of reflecting on this in my new role. And I really feel like it started when I was a child and not really understanding why some of my friends weren't in our typical classroom with us, and they were removed and either went to a different school or a different classroom. And so the curious part of me was trying to figure out why people were not included. I've also just been drawn to helping and supporting people that are marginalized or not seen as equal in society. And so when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, I went to college, as a freshman, and really did not have a clear path forward, but I knew that I wanted to work with children. So I earned my elementary education degree, but I tailored a minor in that area for, at that time, it was developmental disabilities. And I really had to build that minor myself. It was not one that was offered to for every student. But I had expressed my interest in this area to my advisor, and luckily they were like, well, let's see how we can help you do this. So I don't want to date myself, but this was many years ago. So just, now if I were to go to college, that would be an acceptable minor or focus for an education degree. Back then it wasn't. So that kind of led me to my first position working at Head Start in the field of early care and education, and in the state of Maine for child development services, etc. I've always kept an interest and focus in the early care and education and early childhood special education world. So it's kind of led me to my current role, which is just amazing. I am so lucky to be in the role that I am. I feel like it's the pinnacle of all of my experiences and degrees that I've earned to lead me to where I am. Well, I know that for the early childhood special education state directors, there's been a history of sessions that are geared towards them. So that state level focus for the sessions. But I also wanted to learn more about what are preschools needing right now for support and professional development. I've been in my role a year at the state level, and I feel like I'm missing that part. Like, what do preschool teachers, preschool centers, what are they needing to learn more about. What are they wanting to learn more about? And so I've been very intrigued by the sessions that are designed for them and attending them. So I'm learning more, trying to find a balance, right, between the state level sessions and then learning more about what preschool educators are wanting in the field right now. Well, I definitely feel like I've learned over the past year that the state has a responsibility to ensure that children or students with disabilities are receiving an equitable and inclusive education. And that includes 3 to 5 year olds, so that in that early childhood special education, but then also our K through grade 12 population as well. So it's a continuum of programming for children. And what we know is that if children are removed early on in their educational career, they tend to stay removed from their peers and have a more difficult time getting back into regular education classrooms. We also know that the best place, research shows that children make more growth the more time that they spend with their peers. So there seems to be a disconnect in regards to that practice in preschool settings and in K through 12 settings as well. So the role of the state is to provide that guidance and technical assistance that supports educators learning more about it, but also finding out what are the barriers to inclusion. What is happening in a classroom that stops a teacher or has a teacher say to an IEP team meeting, I can't educate this child in my classroom. So really looking at the preventative piece of this and the professional development piece is essential. States can't just be monitoring and finding districts or preschools out of compliance for inclusion. You've got to be embedding layers of support and education. This also means working with your higher education institutes to develop teacher prep programs that prepare teachers for having students of all abilities in their classroom. And I also teach some college courses, and so I find that was also one of the things that I wanted to do in my career, was to give back and to help future teachers understand better the landscape of classrooms today and the barriers that teachers are facing and the reality of what it's like to be in a classroom. I think many teachers get into being a teacher because of their experience in school, right? They were a good student. They had great experiences. They probably had a teacher that was a role model for them, that that's their North Star. They want to be like a specific teacher, or they have a passion about preschool age children or students with disabilities, but they might not necessarily have experienced students with disabilities alongside them in a classroom to really understand what a typical classroom is like currently. Yes, I would love to share with future attendees of the Inclusion Institute to come experience it. The center, the Friday Center, is beautiful. The hotel is 2 steps away. It's a wonderful walkover, but more importantly, the content, the speakers, the keynote this week was amazing. The other piece that I really enjoyed was the time at lunch and during breaks and breakfast when you can mingle and meet other people. At our lunch table, we met some preschool teachers from North Carolina, And we just had some great conversations about what are their challenges in the classroom. They were talking about, the end of the year celebrations that they were having. So it really kind of connects people from all different levels of serving children together in one space. So it's been an amazing experience.